I'm just back from shopping and I'm walking. I think things are triggering for me. The word triggering is like when certain things um, cause you an emotional reaction. So there I am trying to pack my stuff, and a woman behind me started to complain and she was putting pressure. And unfortunately, it just triggered for me. And I started to answer her, and then she started to scream. And I think she was like an abusive person. I have to sit down for this. And she triggered in me the victim. So it was an abusive kind of dialogue. And then I started to say to her really mean things. And I didn't mean it. But like I said, are you really going to leave this world being so mean? It just triggered for me all the mean people that were ever mean to me in my life. And I was just really, I'm overwhelmed emotionally from this experience. And I'm thinking maybe next time, if somebody like that talks to me, I should just never answer back because I'm not going to win. And they say, I know it rationally. There's a saying, whoever tries to put you down is beneath you. Because what kind of a person says mean things to people? Somebody who doesn't feel good about themselves. Somebody very cruel. And I was just like, I really feel like crying. I just feel like just everything went so wrong. And I answered her and I'm so overwhelmed by everything. It was just such a horrible experience. And I guess this plus the fact that I'm near my grandparents' home. And I know I'll never be able to go in their apartment, and my aunt took it over, and all the family feuds. Just everything just overwhelmed me because I'm thinking about all the nasty people in my life, and this woman just triggered for me all the nastiness and bad in life. And I'm just feeling at the moment really completely overwhelmed by this experience of shopping. I also bought a lot of things I didn't want to shop for, but I need. And it's really hard to decide what you don't need because it's just basic food, and it's so expensive here. And then you get to the cashier and everything costs so much money. And I know it's not as expensive as, like, let's say, certain parts of the world where I live. But, if I had a car, I'd probably be able to shop cheaper or whatever, or just don't know how to save. And I feel... So it's also a very triggering situation when you go to a shop and you fill your basket and you can't afford anything and you just fill and fill and fill and fill the basket and a person is putting pressure on you. But on the other hand, look, we're in a beautiful street. This is one of my favorite streets in Tel Aviv. It's called Rainis. My grandparents lived in Spinoza. I walked here also because it's a nicer street. It has a lot of trees. I love these trees. And look at the Bauhaus. It's just, I'm feeling very, very vulnerable at the moment. And that woman just triggered in me a lot of nastiness from my aunts. Both of my mother's sisters just used to say mean things all the time. If they saw you, they would just say mean things. Whatever they could say, they would say. Never a kind word. And this is the same thing I saw in my siblings. Just not nice. My sister would make up things, but behind your back speak badly about you. And then I find out because her children would repeat what the mother said. And it's just really hard for me when people say bad words to me and criticize me. And I think this is why it's really hard for me to go back to work, because criticism is really hard for me. Really difficult, and I do what I don't like, I do it to others. I think I also am a person who criticizes a lot, and I do the same thing. And a lot of times they say that whatever you don't like in another person, I'm showing you the rest of the street, whatever you don't like in another person, it's about you, because it's a quality that's in you. And I guess I'm very critical too. It's really, and the way people just beep. So I bought this paper towels because it's cheaper than buying the wipes. I use sometimes wipes like antibacterial. So this is a cheaper way. And then I bought granola, which was like without sugar. I bought tomato sauce. I bought eggplant, zucchini, vegetarian schnitzel, bananas. I bought some sweet things for my son. I bought myself snacks, 1 bag of snacks. I'm trying to kind of allow. I bought flour. I bought chocolate to make brownies. Chocolate. I used chocolate with nuts to buy brownies. I found a good deal. 3 tablets for 10 shekels. Everything there costs really cheap. Like this cost me 8 shekels. Everything is cheap, but it all accumulated to a lot of money. And it was a little bit emotional shopping because I feel like, oh God, I have to buy. And I don't have to buy. But actually, I wanted to have a nice meal. I'm glad I bought challah because my experience with making challah has been very disappointing. Then I have to give it to pigeons. And so I bought a challah, really nice round challah, instead of 2. My son will like it, the sweet challah, bread and tomato sauce. Everything was cheap, but it all accumulated. And just that at the moment, my situation at home is a little bit stressful because I'm really having a hard time focusing on what I have to do and balancing my responsibilities with pleasure. I try to enjoy myself, but I overdo YouTube. I overdo the news, and it really affects me. I really overdid George Floyd. And, you know, there's an amazing British comedian, and she said, I forgot her name, it'll come to me, Ruby Wax. She did research on it. She said, we're not supposed to take on the problems of the world. We can only handle down the street, a little bit down the street next to us. We can't handle everybody's problems. And you know, I think that it's really too much for me to watch these demonstrations. I have so much of my own emotional baggage. And it's just, you could see this is a metaphor, just too much. It's just too much for me. I bought this musky soap for my son. It's just that I feel that everybody should know how much is too much. The moment I'm sitting down on the bench, I'm remembering my grandfather, may he rest in peace, used to sit on a bench, and always somebody would sit next to him and talk to him. And I realized today, when I went to read the newspaper, I discovered a way to read the newspaper for free. I like to read the left-wing paper called the Haaretz, that quotes the New York Times, and I like to read a paper. What I do is I sit there with my coffee in a thermos. I don't spend the money on a coffee. I feel better like that. I'm saving a lot of money like that because 13 shekels is a lot of money for coffee. So I always went there to read the newspaper, and then I realized I don't have to buy coffee. I can just sit on a bench with it because it's one of those open coffee shops to take away. So all I have to do is just read the newspaper, and I have my thermos. I can drink coffee. I try not to do it. Sometimes if I see a friend who buys coffee, I feel more comfortable. Today I saw a woman just take the newspaper and go. But I really don't like to do that because it's antisocial behavior. And it does bother me. I don't feel good with it. I don't feel good taking a newspaper, even if I can get away with it. I have a conscience, so I love these buildings here. So anyway, today I was sitting and I realized I was surrounded by like 3 men, and I think a little bit older than me, and I'm thinking I'm really a person that doesn't get along with women. I don't have any women friends. All I have is guy friends. The only women I associate with are my dogs. And I have two female dogs, that's it. פשוט מערכת הכלבים שלי. או היא. כלבה חמודה. So I realized that I really get along better with men. And it's a problem because I'm not a man. And sometimes I would wish to have a woman friend, and I just know it's not going to happen because I just don't have that talent. Women are very critical, and they're very, very, very selective. And I always had this, I remember being married, having a baby. You would think, what do you want more? That was before I figure out that me and my ex-husband don't get along at all, and we're completely a bad match. And I just felt all I want is a friend. All I want is a girlfriend. I want a woman I could sit down with. And all I had was these very big disappointments. I had a friend who could lure women. She could make appointments. Nobody wanted to meet with me. It was really sad. I felt so neglected, unwanted, unloved. And there was the same thing in school. I was always friends with guys, with the boys, never with girls. Girls always they never lasted. Friendships with girls never lasted. I always had bad experiences with relationships with women. Maybe it has to do with my relationship with my mother, my sister, I don't know. I remember when I was really young, I used to walk to school, or come back from school with a friend, and I really miss that age when you're like, primary school. I think it was up to third grade, because afterwards we went abroad. I was really not popular, but I had like 2 good friends, or 3 even, that I could go and play. My mother didn't like me to invite people, so I was going to their houses, and she was always self-conscious about the house not being clean enough, or I don't know. She didn't like children's noise because she was a kindergarten teacher. I don't know. So what I want to say is that I really miss the age where you had friends and you just talk on the phone. We would talk on the phone, and nothing in my early childhood predicted that I would be a person who has problems making connections with women, with girls and women. Nothing. Of course, if you look at my relationship with my mother, the fact that I connected with my father better, the fact that I was a tomboy and I connected more with guy issues. I like to go to the sea. I didn't care about things girls cared about. I liked animals. I didn't care about pretty things. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder when I watch these films about transgenders whether I am a transgender in some way, and I realize I'm not. I had good relationships with men. The only problem was I didn't choose the right man, but I could have a good relationship with a man. I really could, but I need an honest man, and I need a man that doesn't want something else. I need to be accepted for who I am. So I think now, looking back, and this is advice for women out there, or guys too, choose someone who accepts you and doesn't say, if only she was ta-ta-ta-ta. Yes, she's smart. Yes, she's good looking, but if only she was, I'm not a good housewife. I'm not going to clean your place. And I should have been more assertive when I got married, because my ex-husband could see I'm not a good cleaner. And he said, no, don't worry, I'll clean. But that was not true, because when we got married, he expected me to clean. It's the gender expectation. I should have been like Virginia Woolf. I should have had a husband that really wants me to write, wants to encourage me to be the best I can. Someone more like my father was with my mom, that he really didn't expect or even want her to cook for him. She insisted on cooking. And he cleaned. He had no problem cleaning. He had no problem cleaning. He was cleaner. He had no problem cleaning. I don't know why women are expected to clean the house. Women are expected to do the dishes. Women are expected to do traditional gender roles. It's not fair, but at the same time, it's not fair for men to, you can't have it both ways. You can't expect to not do women roles and not do men roles. Somebody has to bring in the money. It's a big problem. I wish I had a more honest relationship when I was young. I wish I had a more honest relationship where people are honest with expectations. That's what I wish. All I want now is a man that would accept me as I am, likes chatty people. If you don't like people that talk a lot, no. There's a lot of other women, please. And also with women, accept me for what I am. This is who I am. I talk a lot. I like poetry, literature, and art. I like animals. I like nature. I'm curious. I'm intellectual. I read a lot. This is who I am. I'm not going to be a cleaning woman. I'm not going to be a cook. I'm going to try, but I'm not going to make it. I can make a brownie. Don't expect me to be who I'm not. The Americans always said, be yourself. They always give this tip.